Right. Hello, everybody. Here we are, the first ever Dirty Talk live chat show from Dirt Hub. My name's Jeff Perrett. I'm sure some of you will know who I am because obviously you hear and see me enough, probably getting a bit bored and actually seeing me on your screens, but there you go. So we've come up with this concept to do a live show to get you guys really involved, basically hear your feedback. We're going to try and do it. I don't know how many of these we're going to do a year. I basically said we try to do one a week. I think that might be a stretch. So first one, we'll just see how it goes. But if we take it down to a fortnightly thing, that would be pretty cool or something like that. I don't know. We'll just see how this one goes. It all depends how well it's received and how much you guys engage and get involved. And if it's good, we'll keep doing it. So the format is basically like, how will I put it? Let's call it a UK dirt bike off-roading chat show, but more like a version of our version of Question Time. But I'm obviously not Richard Dimbleby or Fiona Bruce. So we're not quite as polished as that, like the BBC, not so corporate, because there'd be some of that involved. I'm sure you're having a few at home. I'm sure some of you are sipping a gin or having a beer or whatever. So that's what it's about, a bit of bench racing, chewing the fat, basically. And what we're going to try and do is make it about half an hour to an hour, whenever we go out, and choose 3 topics each time. And then we can just concentrate on them. And then when we finish, we're wrapped up so we don't go too long. So that's it, really. Before we get going and I'll bring my guest on, I just want to say I hope everybody's coping okay with coronavirus and the lockdown and everything. You're not going too mental. Hopefully this will relieve a bit of frustration, get it out there that we can't go riding. And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight, actually. As you can see on the scroller below, we're going to talk about the pros and cons of coming out of lockdown, going to practice tracks, getting back to racing, and of course those that have already got back to racing with the AMA Supercross. So we'll discuss that. So as you can see, the first guest for episode 1 is RaceFx boss Paul Irwin, and he also obviously is the director of the MX Nationals. So Paul was an ex-GP rider and British Championship rider himself, so loads of experience. I've known him a long time. For those of you that ride and race at the MX Nationals, obviously you know how good a series that's become. So let's, without further ado, let's get him on. So, Paul, let's bring you in. Here we go. He should pop up on the screen. There he is.
How you doing?
Good stuff. How you doing?
Good.
You're working late. Is that your office at work or is that office at home?
Yeah, this is my office at work. Been home, took the dogs home, had some tea, come back.
See, I wouldn't have admitted to that. I would have gone,
I'm working late.
I've been slaving here the whole time. I mean, you are a busy man. Let's be honest. You've got on, finished your career, and then you've built up a pretty substantial business there with RaceFx. And then, of course, if that wasn't enough, a bit like me, you're a glutton for pushing yourself and doing a load of stuff. You've gone and started the Michelin MX Nationals, and that's going great.
Yeah, well, I've been racing since I was 8 years old. My family, we just love racing, so it's kind of easy. It's not like real work. I work in the motorcycle industry. We talk about bikes all day. We spend all weekend talking about bikes, playing with motorbikes. It's great.
Yeah, and Dad obviously is a big part of it too. He's running around still like a madman at the Michelin MX Nationals, along with all the other crew you've got as well. Obviously put together a good crew of people there. Yeah,
we've got a great crew. Sadly lost a couple this year with different illnesses, but
yeah, that was a real sad thing to read, obviously, in such short period as well. So yeah. That's a loss, but I'm sure we'll tip a few and do something at the MX Nationals when we do get back to racing.
Yeah, looking forward to round 1
and nod to James and Terry. So with this whole thing then, how have you found, first and foremost, business? Before we start talking about getting back to riding, obviously people can't ride in, so get out riding. So how's that affecting, what you're doing, or is it just still been spiking where people are so can't ride, they're frustrated and are just like doing up their bikes or buying kit or what? How's it going?
When we first went into lockdown, we thought this is going to be really, really quiet. All the shops looked like they were going to shut. at one point we thought we would have to be closed completely, and we furloughed a lot of staff. We ran on a skeleton staff for quite a while, and I think March was reasonably quiet, but pretty much from then on it's just got busier and busier. Right now it's really not bad. People seem to be rebuilding their bikes. We're still selling a lot of product.
Yeah.
So hopefully people are ready to start racing.
Well, I mean, it's seemingly like we're getting a little bit closer. Obviously, it's been such a frustrating time for all. So let's talk about that. Obviously, I said we sort of chosen three subjects, this week, which is basically getting back to ride in our practice tracks and how that's managed. Then racing, of course, how we're going to tackle that, and then we'll finish off talking about AMA sort of Supercross and how that went and what we thought there. So, we're going to need some questions in. We're not going to need some. Me and Paul can talk about it. Obviously, I've got questions to ask Paul. But you can obviously see the scroll going along below. Just type a message, either if you're watching on YouTube or our Facebook page, to me and Paul. We can see all the comments here. Kelly Stringer, hello, Sam, she says. I guess that's reference to you, Paul, because I don't know what that means.
That's my wife. They're good friends.
Oh, okay. All right, there you go. Dave Wells. Dave, good to have you tuning in. Dave, obviously the man at Talon that comes to all the races. And Amelia Greenoff, I am in your little TV screen. I don't know how I got in here, but I'm in here. So, hello. Yes, it's Silly Billy. So, all you people watching, we're now up to like 70 people. Look, let's hear your opinions on getting back to riding. We want to hear from you about, obviously, practice tracks, how we're going to do the social distancing, getting back to racing, and your comments on AMA Supercross. So there you go. Going across the bottom, just type in the comments. If it's a real good one, I can bring it up on the screen like this. Justin Heavens. Let's bring him up. There you go. There you are in lights, Justin. How you doing, guys? Doing very well, thank you. So if you got a question, we can bring it up and me and Paul can discuss it. But keep the questions coming in. In the meantime, so what do you think about this sort of how difficult it's going to be to manage and practice tracks and getting people back? Because obviously I'm not going to start getting into the realms of pointing fingers at somebody. People out there, if you want to comment, that's your prerogative. I'm just trying to chair this thing. But obviously some tracks opened earlier than others, and it seemed to sort of divide the people's opinions on getting back riding for our sport. So what kind of protocol do you think they should be doing, Paul? There's certain social distancing things that is obviously still really important. If you listen to the news, there's still people out there dying. So,
I think there's a lot of common sense needed. There's the majority of the tracks seem to have it quite dialed at the moment with very small groups. Some of them are running 2 sessions a day, a morning group and an afternoon group with, maybe 20 riders. To me, that's safer than going to the supermarket at the moment.
Yeah.
It needs managing. It felt a little bit like we were rushing back into it the minute there was a chance that we could ride. It felt a little bit rushed, but on the whole, from what I can see, the tracks are trying to manage it really well.
Yeah. What would you say then? So, if you I put it this way, we're going to get onto the MX Nationals and how you'll do how you're going to manage that. But if you was running a sort of practice track, what would you say was the optimum number to have for a practice day? I guess it has to be private hire or something like that. You can't just have people turning up. So what would you think would be manageable or appropriate number at the minute?
I think a little bit depends on the size of the parking. You've got to be able to space people out in the paddock. Once they're on the circuit, 20 at a time on most circuits is more than reasonable for where we are right now.
Yeah. What about first aid? Sorry, mate. Say again.
Restrictions are changing quite quickly, so where we are today will be massively different to where we are in 4 weeks, 6 weeks.
Yeah. Obviously, when we was close to the spike or just coming past the spike, and people were keen to ride, the real issue also then was the strain on the NHS. So first aid and medical teams was obviously, you had to consider that. Of course, we still have to do that, but now it's eased off a little bit. You know, do you think the medical teams that come out, do you think they have a big say in the numbers that could ride on a practice track or should be riding on a practice track?
Yeah, I don't think the strain on the NHS is the issue. It was certainly what it wasn't. It's not the same as it was in March, say, you know, when it was going at its peak. We've spoke to our medics at the MX Nationals, and there's things that they've put in place to make it safer, hand sanitizers everywhere and PPE for staff, mechanics. I just think it just needs common sense.
Yeah.
Let's park people sensibly. Let's keep the numbers down for a minute and not run before we can walk.
I suppose that's, again, management of as it always is, of somebody that's running a track, because let's be honest, for majority of people, certainly probably a good half of them, it is their line of income. You know, they don't really have anything else too much, so they're losing out as well. I guess they might be getting desperate, and that's where they've got to be kind of smart and not, you know, not just go and get a load of people there, because as we've seen, again, without mentioning tracks, but those of you that have been following a lot of stuff online will know where I'm going with this. There's been some tracks that obviously they've just straight away got loads of people out on track, rammed them in, which, you know, you got the argument, of course, that, oh, you're riding a bike, so you know, you've got a crash helmet on, you're not going to get the disease and whatever. But when you've seen them rammed into the parking area so tight, obviously there's that risk. But for us as a sport, when, let's be honest, we're up against it, trying to convince like Joe Public that our sport is good. It's a good family sport. It's safe. It's professionally run. And it's just, you know, a bit of a kick in the teeth when you start seeing that. We just don't need any bad press, do we?
It's not going to help us right now. You know, there's a lot of people off work. If we start turning up at venues in our hundreds, we're going to be driving past people's houses. We're not going to make any new friends. So we need to respect the people around the venues and not run day and night. But most venues seem to be understanding of it. And
do you think that any of them would, you know, some of them get certain number of times they're allowed to run a year at a practice track, aren't they? Yeah. So obviously they've missed a load. Do you reckon they're then sort of just trying to cram them all in to that year to get their quota? I mean, that's the next problem.
Yeah, I can imagine they're trying to get some money back. They've been no income for quite a long time. There's not too many people who survive on that. I bet they didn't get too much off the government. No,
I'm sure they didn't. You're back riding, or have been back riding quite a lot. You're now getting yourself super fit. I see your Strava posted up on Facebook, going for your bike rides and whatever. Now, listen, you're in a position, I know you're busy with work and whatever. Have you been tempted to get out and ride, or have you're just going to go, no, I'm going to wait until it really is in back to some kind of what we call normal?
Yeah, and I'll wait till we do some ride days, or if we do a practice day at one of the MX Nationals. I'll wait till we're a bit further on. I'm not in a hurry. I've ridden for so many years, I can wait another month or two.
Well, that was interesting. We'll get onto that in a minute. Practice day at one of the MX Nationals. Oh, hold on. I could be coming back out on track. Well, I planned to, until some dirty tow rag stole my bike out of this very workshop. So yeah, that would be good. Oh, that's interesting to hear then with that. So going to the MX Nationals, you know, obviously, I think this is the thing that people more would be interested in talking about. You know, we've obviously spoke a lot about the practice facilities, and people are making their own choice whether to go out and practice or not. And of course, I don't think there's no right or wrong. The thing with practicing is more at the minute of how the practice day is run, more than the choice of going to ride or not, I think. So the MX Nationals, you know, it's let's get on to that, the Michelin MX Nationals. Now, remind me first and foremost, how many years has it been running? I should know this because, you know, I just should. Is it 6? Is it 5 or 6 years?
I think
more even.
I want to say this is our 6th.
Christ. Okay. Yeah, that goes so alarmingly quick. Yeah. So far then, you know, are you let's do a simple happy, satisfied, not satisfied of where it's at after that number of years.
Yeah, no, super happy where it's at. It's got a great following. I think we've improved every year. Probably our biggest plus and minus is that we never stop wanting to make it better. So we're always looking for ways to take it up a notch. And that gets harder and harder.
Yeah.
We've always got ideas, and some of them come down to finances, time, people.
How much on a personal level, I say, because before you started it, you got a wealth of experience ridden through youth career into British Championship, top 40 or top 35 on the GPs and whatever. How much did you learn in running the series, and how steep did you find the learning curve?
Yeah, we always set out that we wanted to make every track we went to, when you get somewhere and you just look at the track and you think, that looks so nicely prepared, I just want to ride that track. And I kind of, as simple as it sounds, just want to make every venue that we turn up and you just can't wait to get on your bike. And if we can do that, the racing will fix itself if the track is that nice. So we work pretty hard on just, if it's somewhere I want to get on a bike and I've been riding a long, long time, then it's good.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big thing that you guys have been credited for, and quite rightly so. The track preparation. So that's clearly working, isn't it? And you're doing good with that. What do you think regards of building up the series and the structure of the whole? Because we constantly get it, and I'm an advocate of it. The kind of youth adult development and then putting the two together. Clearly, you've made a conscious decision to start at small 85s. What's your reasoning with that? Is it time, schedule? The tracks are too rough for 65s. Too many riders. Or is it a bit of everything?
Yeah, there's honestly the tracks get really, really beaten up. We have a lot of racing in a day. The pros rip the tracks to pieces. I think if you ask most riders, they'll say our tracks are probably the roughest they see all year. And it's tough for the small wheels. It's tough for an 85. For a 65, I think they'd get lost in some of the ruts. And I don't think a lot of the time at that age, the kids aren't ready for a national of that level. It's a pretty professional championship. This isn't somewhere where your dad can run around after you. You go to Hawkstone Park. The mechanic, the father, is quite often they're in the pit box, and that's it. They can't move
unless they're Roy Higgs, and we all remember Roy.
Yeah,
that's fine. I hope Jason's watching. Good shout, but yeah. So that's collectively. Then there's a number of reasons why you decided to start at the 85, and I guess it's a good thing to go. That the in Holland, I think they do it, don't they? At the Dutch Masters, they start at big wheel, though, maybe, or possibly, or whatever. So obviously, that's a good core of it. What about you've built something up, and I know that you haven't got to know you and working with you guys at the Michelin MX Nationals. You haven't been sort of so hung up on the status, for example, of it having to be called a British series so much. Do you think that holds development back for other nationals or whatever like this? It's got it's got to be of that importance. Are we missing the fact that we should be possibly just not putting so much emphasis on that and just going back to having like fun at a national standard?
Yeah, we get compared a lot to other championships, and I keep hearing there are too many championships out there. And there are a lot of championships. I don't think they all conflict with each other. I don't think British Championship, non-British Championship makes that much difference. It's about the quality of the event and what the rider gets. We always wanted to build a stepping stone. So a rider can join us on an 85, and they have done. At Lewis Hall, we first watched him on an 85. Now he's in the pro race. There's a lot of riders like that. We've watched their progression. I would love to see us have more time in the day to maybe not get so many races in and make the quality of the races better. I don't think there's enough time for qualifying, and I don't think British riders are that good at qualifying. And we see that when they go to a GP and they struggle to qualify.
So what you're saying with that, like you still want to try and keep qualified, but it's difficult to fit it in. But then obviously our British riders wouldn't be able to necessarily improve that skill if they're not doing it at the races they go to. So again, it's this real balancing act, right?
Yeah, I think Europeans are generally better at qualifying than we are, and their national championships teach them that. They've got to learn that art of qualifying somewhere, and I don't think in the UK anyone gives them enough time. You know, we have for most classes 15 minutes of qualifying. That's very different when you get to a GP and you're in the Europeans.
Yeah, absolutely. So with the series, you know, as it is right here and right now, we should be getting more questions in on this, by the way, people that race the Michelin MX Nationals. Let's hear from them. I got one question to kick us off with the current status, I suppose, of the Michelin MX Nationals. If you're in a position to answer it, obviously I'll tackle it. I'll bring it up. It's from Matt Greenoff, Harrison's dad, who's watching. Good to see you, Matt, and hear from you. Right, this is the question. Yeah, so there you go. Hi, Paul and Jeff. If you're able to start racing, how many rounds would MX Nationals hope to run to call it a championship? Also, would the fixture list dates left changed or tracks changed? Well, I'll let Paul answer that. I got my view on that. So like certainly the second part of the question, I think inevitably dates and tracks might have to change around a little bit. But you're the director, so are you in a position to shed any kind of light on that? And of course, if you're not, explain why.
Yeah, I can tell you where we are as of today. We've spoke to all the venues that we plan to go to this year. All the venues want to work with us. It really depends on when we can get going. I would be disappointed if we're not racing by early August at latest, which is still pretty much 2 months away.
So that is just, I got things changing so quick, but at the minute then you're saying what percentage chance would you give that as you sit here in your mind? I know there's loads of things that can happen in the meantime and stuff can still happen, but as you sit there in your mind, what percentage out of 1 to 100 would you say is the chances of the MX Nationals rolling out in August?
75-80%.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
I trust you, Paul. I trust you. You know, I'm listening to you.
If we could start in end of July, August, and run one a month, I think the aim is 4 to 5 rounds. I think it will be hard. When all the championships start putting dates out, I think it'll be tough to fit any more than that in without starting to. It's going to be expensive for people.
Yeah. See, that's
one round a month is ideal.
I think that's there you go. That kind of, to me, tells you the kind of answer that having been a race to yourself, that you're considering that, and not just like, oh, we need to do this because we need to do it. Thinking of, across the board with everybody riding. Now, I know that you speak regularly with the other organisers and stuff. I know that you speak regularly with Gareth and the ACU, and obviously Matt Bates does more of the arena cross. It doesn't really clash with you, and Darren doing the service, and obviously Colin doing the Bridgestone. So are any of those conversations in place yet, or is it too early to start sitting down and saying, we'll have that date?
No, and until the GPs settle on something, I think the next stage will be the ACU deciding when they're going to run, if they're going to run, are they going to clash with GPs? But honestly, a lot of that this year, I think will change pretty much as soon as we are happy, confident that we can run and it's safe to do so. I think we'll start naming our dates. All the venues are waiting for us to pick a date. So.
Is that I'm guessing that's the reason. The smart decision is you guys have deliberately kept pretty low key from lockdown, and obviously having to make that tough decision to. I mean, ultimately, it come in the end that you wouldn't have been able to run at Desert Martin anyway because how it suddenly really started to take off. But that was a tough decision, obviously, with people booking ferries and Amber Council and stuff like that. And since then, we haven't heard much from you guys, and I'm guessing, obviously, that's the reason why you don't want to keep throwing out information to then retract it.
Yeah, the minute we put a date out, that date needs to be fairly firm. Otherwise, people start booking hotels or making plans, and we don't want to mess people around. We want to give them the right information and only do it once.
Yeah.
Right now, the biggest issues with moving forward are, at the moment, people can't travel. We need people from Ireland to be able to come over, people from Wales to be able to travel, and we need people to be able to stay in their motorhomes overnight, not have to stay at home. A one-day thinkable.
Yeah, of course. So that's going to be. I mean, the other issue that you guys have got, I'm guessing, that is different to the British Championship, ACU British Championship, and even the British Youth Championship, ACU, it's the volume of riders, because obviously you've got more classes. So your events, obviously, the Service Nationals and the Bridgestone Masters, you've all got large numbers. So I guess that becomes problematic compared with the lesser numbers that the two now separate ACU events are going to have. So you have to consider that. Is that going to have a profound effect then on the venues that you can go to? I mean, most venues we've been to have got good pits, but I guess you're going to have to look at now some of them that have got the larger pits, because again, I'm not putting words in your mouth, but if the current restrictions as they are, you're going to have to space people out further in the paddock. So basically where there was, two trucks parked together, then there'll only be one.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to get creative with the parking. Venues like Hawkstone Park, Canada Heights, they've got a lot of parking. There's a lot of area there that we can use and give people the space they need. I'm hoping there'll be the early rounds. I'm sure as the season progresses, the restrictions will become less and less, and will be maybe somewhere nearer normal by the end of the season.
Yeah. I'm again thinking further ahead. I mean, nobody knows what's going to happen, of course, but then everything's sort of governed a lot of the time by the GPs, obviously. Now you can directly go up against the GP, which is fine, but more often than not, you still have to wait on then the ACU British Championship to get their dates, because they can't, because they're affiliated to the FIM, go up against the GPs. Is that a bit frustrating at times?
It can be. We want to make our own plans and not have to worry about what anyone else is doing, what any other championship's doing, but we try and work together with them. I think it's more important that we build. Our championship isn't just our championship. There's several championships that riders compete in. We don't all want to go to the same venue week after week. We want to, if we go to Hawkstone Park, there needs to be a fair gap before another championship goes to Hawkstone Park.
Yeah.
So it's better that we all talk and we all work together, and makes better racing for the whole season for everybody. We all get on quite well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, that's the thing, isn't it? And like you said, people can say there's way too many championships, and there is, people in that sense, but there's also not. It gives UK riders plenty of value to go off and do these things if you don't clash. The problem is always fitting it into the calendar governed by the GPs, which seemingly add at least one or two every year. I think, in 5 years, I think we'll be doing 40 GPs a year if he keeps going at that rate. So I guess that's
on the wall. The ACU are going to have to start to clash. If they want to run this year, I think they're going to have to clash. There's not enough free dates.
Yeah. I mean, it's different to our day. I sorry to do the whole, for the people watching, the whole rose tinted glasses things and all that kind of stuff. But, obviously back when we were riding, there wasn't as many GPs for one. So there was more space in the calendar, and more UK riders were off doing GPs because you had to get on the grading list. So you had the 500 class, the 250, the 125. And more often than not, you know, I think it was the top. If you was the top 8 in the British Championship, then that is the only way you could be eligible to do GPs. So you effectively had, you know, like 24 championship riders that would be missing a British Championship if it clashed. Now, of course, we've only got 1 or 2. So you think it's time. It's kind of time that they should really consider, you know, like thinking more about the masses, and if that's how it is, and those top riders, that they got to make a decision. Although they obviously bring value to a championship, the likes of Sean, you know, and Conrad.
Yeah, I think they do. I think it's just getting harder for the championship to be what it needs to be when you're always trying to fit it in around GPs and GP riders' schedules.
Yeah,
GP rider now with 20 GPs that's a pretty hard season without doing 8 rounds of another championship.
Yeah. Now I'm going to quote you on this. I'm going to put the words that you said to me in your mouth. So this is your quote, but I'm saying it for you because you're too modest. You've said to me on numerous occasions when we spoke about the state of the sport in the UK and how we can improve things and what you're doing with the Michelin MX Nationals and the good crew you've got around you. You've said easily half a dozen times that you categorically want to see the ACU British Championship being, you know, really strong and healthy and back to what it was. And I think, you know, sometimes that gets lost with, not with you, but, you know, with a lot of other championships that they think they're going up directly against the ACU to try and make them look bad or to bash them or whatever. That's not the case, is it? You genuinely want to see all the championships that we got being healthy.
I think if all the championships are healthy and the riders are riding week in, week out, that's good for the sport. It's good for the industry. It's what we need. There's no rivalry for me with any other championship. I'm more than happy to sit alongside the ACU and any other championship. We do our thing, and it's very different to the ACU British Championship. But I don't think we're competition. We're not trying to steal riders. There's most of the top 40, shall we say, they need to ride more than 6 or 8 times a year.
For sure.
One championship's nowhere near enough for them, for the amount of money they spend on bikes and trucks and mechanics.
Yeah. So off the back of that, the $1 million question, which I don't think I've ever asked you this actually. So what made you start the MX Nationals at the time, the MX Nationals? You obviously, it wasn't a rash decision, I would have thought. You must have been thinking about it for some time.
Yeah, it was pretty rash.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay. Okay, that's great answer. That's even better then. In that case, amazing then. Yeah. So how long was the thought process to just like, what was it? You just literally like had one of those vivid dreams. You just woke up in the middle of the night and going, Eureka moment. I'm going to run.
I'm going to blame my dad for this one. It's his idea.
Was it?
Yeah.
The power of parents, the influence. Yeah. So how did that conversation go? Did he just ring you up, or, you know, you were?
It was a combination of things. You know, we support quite a few riders at work. I had a lot of riders calling me saying that they're doing this championship and that championship. And at the time when the MX National started, it was the end of the Red Bull series that was pretty successful. We knew that wasn't running, or it wasn't running in its current format. And I thought, well, I've got all these riders wanting product off me, and honestly, there's an 8-round championship for them to do, and that's it. There was a big gap for another professional championship.
Yeah. And
maybe it was a big leap to start with a professional championship, but we knew that there was, these riders were looking for somewhere to ride. And they followed it.
That's really, obviously, because that's where you've got the kind of 2 cap thing, you know, and you even joke to me about sometimes about how in this industry, some of us absolutely multitask. You've said to me on a couple of times, which cap have you got on today? But, you know, and whatever. So from the RaceFx angle, I guess, you know, the absolute smart business decision, because the brands you work with, of course, they want to see people out wearing their kit, and you almost by obligation have to sponsor some riders with some of those brands.
Yeah, we sponsor riders, and, you know, I don't want to sponsor them to use it 8 times a year. I want to see them out week in, week out. And
yeah,
They need somewhere to race. They needed somewhere to race at that time. We've always, for years and years, we've gone racing, and I've seen terrible meetings, and I've seen unbelievable meetings. I've raced from schoolboys, AMCA, ACU, British Championship, GP. I've done a fair amount of racing, so kind of know the good and the bad. And we just thought, you know what, let's try and do it the way we think it should be done. And if people like it, they'll come. And if they don't, they won't.
I like it. It's like if you build it, they will come type thing there off of Wayne's World. We're getting a few comments coming in now, mostly sarky ones, not helping the cause here with you at all, Paul. Most of them from your crew. Rob Stringer says, well, this is what he says. My arm still hurts, Paul Irwin.
That's where he jumped out the back of the van in Belfast. He threw himself out the back of the van, and then he blamed my van.
Oh, yeah. I remember hearing about that incident. Obviously, an integral part of the Michelin MX Nationals, Kevin Daniels, obviously, I think you must be working him too hard, because when you said it was 6 years, that was his response to that.
Yeah.
Kevin,
we've been off.
He loves it, really. And our good friend, Dick Law, who's out there, obviously, taking pictures with his own media company. I'll let him plug his own media company. Has come in with this comment. There you go. Exactly, Dick. That's why he's doing it, like he's just answered. So that was good insight into where we're at with the Michelin MX Nationals. I'm all infused now, and I think that could be two things. That you're 75, and I'll take the 75%, that we could be back to the MX Nationals in August. I have faith in you in that. Not so much of the government and all and everything else, but hopefully you're on track for that to happen. And it could also be the beer starting to kick in. But anyway, I'm excited by that. Okay, we've spoken enough about the Michelin MX Nationals. Let's talk about racing, and we are now getting some racing with the AMA Supercross. What was your take on that? It seemed to me, obviously, they did it in a good way. They didn't have any people there because I guess they can't anyway. But it looked like they also just kind of they eased back into it with the sort of track design and everything like that. Was that your opinion? Did you agree with that?
I think that the first round looked like they built the track on the easier side, maybe to, like you say, ease them back into it. They seemed to struggle with getting the track prep right. They were watering it relentlessly. And I know last night's looked to be a little bit better prepped. I think the racing was good. I didn't miss the crowd overly.
No.
It's perfect time when there's nothing else on. Let's watch Supercross in 5 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean it was good. I mean we've all missed it so much. So it was good to see that. The AMA side of things, do you have you learnt stuff from when you've gone over there? I can only assume, obviously, with the brands that you work with, Bell, Oakley, Fly, Seven, all these brands, a lot of them are based in California. So I know you go over there. You must have been to a few AMA Supercrosses. And have you been to an AMA National as well?
Nope.
No. Okay. So you've only...
No, GP.
GP. So, are you always... look at, as now, do you see things in a slightly different view as a race championship director, somebody that runs events? Does that open you up?
Yeah, I now watch a lot of racing in a different way. Look at what's going on around. I think I spend a lot of time looking next to the track to see where people have stood, what they're doing, the setup, the organization, anything we can learn from that. Why not? Yeah. If someone's got a good idea, I'm more than happy to copy it.
Yeah. And there you go. And there's probably some people out there just think you're being vague and you're cloud watching. What's he doing now? He's not. He's just looking around. Yeah. So is there? So regards to the Michelin MX Nationals, like you said, you're always hoping to improve. Has the coronavirus this year set back any plans that you had to improve this year? I don't need to know what they were going to be even if you had any.
No, I think it's given us more time to get them right. We're hoping to show a few new details when we start. Just minor things that just make the event a little bit slicker and a little bit easier for people to sign on and to move through to get to their parking spot and enjoy their weekend.
Yeah. The hospitality, the VIP hospitality has gone well for the last couple of years. That's obviously another string to your bow. That seems to be going well. Is that something you're going to try to, again, improve?
Yeah, we keep building on it. Becky does an awesome job of that. It got busier and busier and busier. And we want to build on that. The demand surprised me for it, but I think there's a lot we could do with it to make a better experience.
Yeah. Oh, like I said, it could be the beer kicking in. A bit of both. I'm buzzing now. You can probably tell. I get excited easily. It's one of my, I don't know if that's a good trait or a bad one. It kind of sometimes gets me in good positions, other times puts me in bad ones. But listen, you're a busy man. I'm gonna keep you any longer. We've got just a few comments here. Mark Joslin basically reckons you should be PM. You'd have to dye your hair.
No.
There you go, Mark. Paul Irwin for PM, just to say that he definitely did. James Addy, well, look at that. No spoilers from last night's AMA, watching it after this. So
it's a good race. You'll enjoy that.
It is a good race. And yeah, it was so good. And I mean, Baggett totally deserved to win. Oh, I'm kidding. Nigel Luffman, my lad's first season with MX Nationals, and he can't win and wherever. I don't really understand that. What you're trying to say there, Nigel? So
we can't wait to have him there.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Good. Well, yeah, you'll love it, Nigel. Take it from me. Nigel, what's your kid's name? Just let us know. Give him a shout out before we hang up. But Paul, always a pleasure. As I said, you're chained to that chair in that office as you are. I'll leave you to it. You've got another busy day tomorrow, planning the return of the Michelin MX Nationals and, of course, keeping RaceFx going strong. So I appreciate your time. Paul, as I said, catch up with you soon. I'll let you go now. Thanks for coming on.
No problem.
And I'll speak to you later. Yeah, nice one. Okay, so that's Paul. He's out of it. All the best. Away he goes. Now you're just stuck with me. Jamie. Okay, Jamie Luffman. There's your name in lights right there. Jamie Luffman. I hope you do enjoy going to the Michelin MX Nationals when we get there. What's Dick Law going on about here? Come on, Dick, what are you up to? Oh yeah, very funny, Dick. My bookcase is at home. This is the workshop, the Team Green workshop. I'm doing this from. I'll actually give you a little quick spin round. It's a bit messy. But there you go. There's all the tires, engines on the thing there, and way up there is more kit caboodle. There's my brother's project there, and then a load of crap chucked in the corner where we've having a bit of a move around in lockdown. Kelly Phillips. Oh, Kelly, wish you'd posted that just a little bit earlier, because obviously Paul's just gone off. Would you ever look at running a women's class MX Nationals? Damn, we just missed him with that one. Well, that's something we can ask him another time. So cheers for the question, Kelly. Glad you're getting involved. Right, that's it for the first ever episode of Dirty Talk Live. I hope you enjoyed the chat with Paul. Obviously, we're going to try and grow the numbers on this, get more people, so spread the word. If you could, that would be great. And then we can get more of an audience, more interaction. I'll let you know when we're going to go live again with more warning next time. And I'll let you know what the subject matter is, so you can start thinking about questions and get more involved. But absolutely spread the word. Let people know about the Dirt Hub Facebook page and YouTube, and come and join us. It will be going out every Thursday at 8 p.m. at the minute. I say every Thursday. As I said, we might review that and just see how well this first one's received. So thanks for your time. Really appreciate that. If you keep watching the scroller on the bottom, I'm now going to change that to that. There you go. That's just a personal thanks from me. So for tuning in, those of you that did and those of you that commented. And that's it. I've got another one of these to get through. So I'm going to kick back and enjoy that now. It went okay. The lights didn't go. Nothing fell off the walls. I think we're good to go. So until next time, stay safe and just basically spread the love, not the disease, and keep on rocking in the free world. My mantra. I still believe it's free. I'm probably naive, but there you go. Right. Until next time, stay safe, folks. And I am out of here. All the best.